Hi there, welcome to Camping Secrets. I'm Marky Mark. We've got a real treat for you today. We've got this brilliant product from Bluetti Poweroak. It's their new EB70 Power Pack, which has got a 1000 watt DC to AC inverter in it, so it can drive up to 1000 watts. It's got 716 watt hours of power storage, and it's got a wide range of outputs on it. So you can drive 12 volt. It's got two AC 240 volt sockets for the UK version that we've got. We're gonna go through all the unboxing and look at the specs and how it performs and let you know. And how does it compare with its main competitors like Jackery? At the same time, we've got the Bluetti PV200 solar panel. So this can provide up to 200 watts of power of clean energy from the sun and pipe it into the EB70 so that as you're using power, you can be adding in more power. So it's sort of like a perpetual motion clean energy storage. And at this time of high energy prices, I think a setup like this can be really useful for camping, but also in the home. So without further ado, let's dig into it. Right then, let's get these unboxed. I'm not going to go into details until we've got them out, so I'm just doing this blind to see what is in the box. So first off, the EB70 power station. These are both nicely boxed items. So on top we've got the instructions, I guess. Let's just open this up. So we've got a certificate of compliance with some basic instructions here and warranty. Proof of purchase. Very nice. On top, we got a little box here with the EB70. Let's see what's inside. Okay, so it looks like we got an AC to DC power pack. So this is from the mains, 240 volt or 110 if you're in the States, which can then be used to charge the EB70 from your mains hookup. What other cables have we got? So, looks like we got a car cigarette lighter. So that will be a 12 volt charger for the power pack. We've got a AC power cable for the power supply. And then we've also got what looks like a solar panel connector here for the PV200 into the EB70. Let's dispose of that cardboard. And then we simply take out this polystyrene, and then we've got the EB70 itself. Nice. So the first thing to note is there's a really good carry handle here, and it folds away. I really like that. Fairly substantial weight, it's just under 10 kilograms, I believe. If I just show this to the other camera. Yeah, so it's got some heft to it. I do like that fold away handle. I do know, for instance, the Jackery Explorer range have a fixed handle. And and it's very rugged handle, but I like the fact that this is still rugged, but also folds away. So that's that. We'll go into a lot more detail soon. Don't worry about that. At the same time, let's unbox the PV200 solar panel. Got my lethal weapon here, ready and waiting. Okay, what do we got? So I can see a handle. So you can see it's very well packed with polystyrene around. I doubt very much that there'll be any damage during transit to your house. Let's get these items off. Got the polystyrene, cling film, bubble wrap, the usual stuff. There we go. Very nice. Always like opening bubble wrap. Hours of fun for stress relief. Just pop in these things. Right. Now, one thing to note with the Jackery range, with their Solar Saga panels, they're 100-watt panels, so you need two of them to supply around 200 watts. This does it all in one big, quite heavy to be honest, solar panel. Right, that's everything from both boxes. We've got the panel, we've got the power pack. So I'm going to have a little tidy up and then we'll get down to business and talk specs. Okay, so let's take you through the EB70, the main features. And as I said before, it's got this nice foldable carry handle on top. And then the next thing I've noticed is this wireless charging on the top. And that's just to put your phone on, and as long as your phone's got wireless charging capability, you can basically stick that on there and charge it. And you don't need a cable, which really saves on just hassle in my view. And it's something that the competitors of the Bluetti Poweroak don't have. For example, Jackery, their Explorer range doesn't have this. Let's just see if it works. I think basically you have to turn on the output of the Bluetti for that functionality to work. So I hold that in, the LED comes on. If I just bring this up now to the camera, we should be able to see as I place this on, now the phone is charging. So pretty cool. So dimensions of the EB70, it's a really nice little compact device. It's 32 centimeters across the length of or the width from the angle that you're looking here, 32 centimeters, and then it's around 22 centimeters square in terms of height and depth. So it's compact, won't take up too much room in a small camper van, for example, or a tent. I think it's a really useful size and great to have that 1,000 watt of AC power. So that will boil a kettle. It will drive a small hob or electric induction hob, for example, or even one side of a toaster. So, you know, this is a useful amount of power. In terms of weight, it's, like I say, about 9.6 kilograms. You know, it's perfectly manageable for carrying around. You wouldn't want to take it too far. I mean, yeah, you could go on a picnic, for example, if you've got a cool box, you could carry this in one hand, the cool box in the other. But yeah, you wouldn't want to do it for miles and miles, carrying around 10 kilograms like that. But overall, it looks great. Excellent functionality and features in my view. Moving on, let's just look through the front panel of the EB70. I'll just be doing some filming here as I do it. Live, the power of live. So as I said, we've got that wireless charging on the top. What have we got down here? So we've got the input. As I said, we've got the mains power supply, and the connector here literally just pops into the front here, and then you plug that into the mains to charge up via the mains. Now, one thing I would note is that this power supply that comes with it is a real brick. You know, it's at least a kilogram in weight, I would say, and it can supply 200 watts. But you know, it's an extra bit of gear you've got to carry around. All these power packs do need a power supply to, you know, transform, you know, your mains power into a steady sort of 12-volt voltage to then charge up the power pack. Actually 12 to 28 volts in this case is possible for maximum power. What else have we got? So as I said before, if you press this output button, the display comes on, and this is a lovely display. Shows you very clearly how much power is left in the power pack. As I said, this is 716 watt hours. So that means you could run a device drawing 716 watts for 1 hour before it's gone from full to empty. It shows how much power is coming in, so that might be from the mains, and it also shows how much power is going out to your devices. We then have a range of DC outputs here. So tellingly and really usefully, we've got two high power USB-C and these are the PD3.0 outputs. So each of these can power modern laptops and charge up phones with ease. And this is USB-C, so any device with that USB-C input can be used. We then got two standard USB-As. These are used with standard USB cables, which can then power older devices, and that's the ubiquitous USB. We then have some regulated 12-volt supplies. I've got to be honest, I don't use these regulated outputs. I think these are more for the home electronics market to give a nice stable 12-volt output. It's not something I use when camping. And then we have a cigarette lighter output. So not only can the Bluetti be charged from your car, or 12-volt, using this cable, and that then goes into the input. You can also, any device that requires a 12-volt from a cigarette lighter, you can power, and that's quite nice. And again, the Jackery range doesn't have that cigarette lighter output. You can charge the devices with 12-volt from a cigarette lighter, but it doesn't have the 12-volt out. And then rounding it off, we have two 240-volt regular mains outputs, and obviously the total power draw from these can't be more than 1,000 watts, because that's the size of the inverter in the EB70, 1,000 watts. So you could split that however you like. You could drive two 500-watt items, or one 1,000-watt, or even put an extension, a three-way extension on there, and drive multiple AC lower power like laptops or cooler boxes or whatever. This will drive quite a wide range of equipment. Also on here we've got a little flashlight. If we hold that in, that's a fairly decent light actually. And if you press it again, it goes even brighter. You press it again, you get an SOS. Useful if things go wrong. So let's talk a little bit about the battery technology in here. And what makes this good, in my opinion, is that it's not standard lithium ion. And when I say lithium ion, I mean ION, lithium ion technology. And a lot of the older battery power packs like this used lithium ion. This is different. It uses lithium iron, IRON, phosphate technology. You might be asking, well, what's the difference? Well, there's a wide range of differences. And one of the key ones is that lithium iron phosphate enables a much higher number of charge and recharge cycles. So instead of the device dying after around 1,000 uses, this can last up to 4 times longer. You can maybe do 4,000 cycles of charge, recharge. So it's a significantly longer lifespan of this power pack compared with the competitors that don't use lithium iron phosphate. Although lithium iron phosphate has slightly less power density compared with lithium ion, it might be 90% of the power density. So you can't, for the same storage, it may be a slightly bigger box due to that difference in energy density, but you also get increased safety. So there's a much higher risk of flame or fire with the lithium ion technology compared with lithium iron phosphate. So in my mind, that really adds to my peace of mind, because if this thing is running in your tent or in your house, I don't want any possibility of accidents or flames. And lithium ion fires are notoriously difficult to put out. If you've ever seen a video of Tesla cars on fire, it takes like the whole fire brigade to put those things out. So I'm all for lithium iron phosphate in these power packs. And another good point to make on lithium iron phosphate is that you can totally discharge this battery pack with no impact on longevity of the battery. So you can take it from 100% down to 0% with no problems and then charge it back up. Some of the others, it's recommended not to go completely flat. To be fair, I've never seen any problems when doing that with my other power packs I reviewed, such as the Jackery Explorer, but it's scientifically stated, in the literature that lithium iron phosphate has a better depletion ratio in that sense. So that's the main specs. I think it's a lovely looking power pack, and I really want to put it to the test. So we'll get on to that in a minute. Oh God. So let's move on now to the PV200 solar panel. Now this is a bit of a, as I say, it's got some heft to it, but basically because it's 200 watts, it's got a lot more surface area than a 100 watt solar panel, as you would expect. Because basically the larger the surface area, the more electricity that's generated as light comes onto it. So you want a bigger panel to get more power into the EB70. So the first thing to look at is the carry handle here. Really nice ruggedized handle with Bluetti sort of stenciled on it. Got nice Bluetti sort of lettering all over this device. Slightly confusing, the branding in terms of Bluetti, but then on the EB70 you've got Poweroak. So what is it? Is it Poweroak or Bluetti? Who is the company? And I think it depends on where you're living in the world, which is the brand. I think in the UK, Poweroak is the more famous brand, and in the States, Bluetti is the bigger name. I'm in the UK, obviously, so this is branded Poweroak. But basically, it's the same gear, whether you buy Poweroak or Bluetti, and I just tend now to refer to them as Poweroak Bluetti. Probably not the catchiest name in the world, but at least cover all bases there. Going back to the solar panel here, let's turn it over. So we've got these little clasps here, just holding it shut. So they're basically push down, release. Same on this side. And then what else have we got? So like the Solar Saga Jackery solar panel, we have these little Velcro legs which come out to hold it. What I really like about this on the Bluetti is it's adjustable. So it's a really simple idea, but you've just got these different connection points for this Velcro strap. If you have it on the longest, it won't tilt back so far when on the legs, and I'll show this when I set it up properly. But if you then just back this off, then the legs go further. So as the sun changes its height in the sky, you can change the angle tilting upwards of the solar panel. Then we've also got this pouch on the back. If we just unzip that, see what's inside. And as expected, we got the cables which come out of the solar panel and then into the EB70 power pack. So these are standard MC4 cables. It's interesting to note where the cable comes out of the solar panel. You've got this little expansion port here, but there's no other sockets on it. So for example, the Jackery Solar Saga 100 watt panels, they have a little USB-C and USB-A output on the solar panel. So you can charge your phone just from the panel, and you don't need the power pack. With the PV200 solar panel, there's no way of doing that. So it has to be used in conjunction with, a power pack if you want to charge devices. These MC4 connectors, they look fairly long to me. I'd say at least 2 meters, maybe 3 meters, and that's useful because you don't always want your solar panel directly next to your power pack. You might want this inside your camper van, for example, but the cable's trailing out the window or something so that you can use it inside and charge at the same time. So these MC4 connectors then connect to one of the other cables which plugs into the front, and then it's simply a case of plugging these in. So if we just do that, black to black, I think they can be connected with no care given to which way around they are. So it's basically push till it clicks, and then we got those connected in there. And then we can set up the solar panel to get some light and some electricity into the EB70. Okay, we're outside. So let's just unfold the PV200. And it just simply opens like this. So 4 solar panels. They're each around, I would say, as a rough guess, maybe 60 centimeters square. So I'd say something like 1.20 meters there, and for the total length, 2.40 meters. So obviously the sun is never, unless it's midday, it's never directly above, and even then, depending on where you are on the globe, it's never going to be directly above due to the angle of the sun to the earth. So you always want the solar panels at some sort of angle, and then you sort of want to be able to adjust that angle over time. So that's where these straps come in on the back. Now in this position, we just tried it, and it can't support the legs, so we have to go a bit higher. So let's go for the middle option here, out of the 3 main ones which we can use. We set that on all of them, middle, and then finally over here, and that means the leg will extend further than it was before. You can see that it is a little bit flimsy, so you're getting a bit of bend. I'd worry a little bit about damage there, and it's just doing all 4 panels at once without the thing toppling over takes a bit of work, a bit of iteration. You've got to work between the legs. You can see there, we've got it out, and that's pretty nice. Okay, so I've come back the next day. The sun is shining, but remember, this is the UK. We're not used to piercing sunlight, so the chances of getting the full 200 watts from this in the current bright sunshine, I think, is low. I've set it up at around 45 degrees angle. We have got clouds in the sky, but let's have a look at the EB70 and see what's going in at the moment. Okay, I've come into the shade a little bit now, and that's another advantage of having these long 3-meter MC4 cables from the solar panel to the EB70. If I just rotate the camera, we can look at the EB70 here, and actually now that it's having significant input from the solar panels, I can hear a little fan that's come on. And one thing I've noticed, the EB70 display doesn't automatically come on and stay on when it's charging. For me, that's a little disadvantage of this unit, because one of the key problems in the UK especially of using solar panel power is that the light is very variable, and as the angle of the sun is changing across the sky, you need to change the angle of the solar panels to maintain as high a input power as possible. And to do that accurately, you need to be able to see what power is coming into the EB70. So for me, it's a little disappointment that you have to just press a button. Any button gets the display on. As you can see, we've got 138 watts coming in now. So it's not up at the full 200 watts. We have got fairly bright sunshine coming onto it, but you know, there's still 60 watts of headroom to go. So I'm guessing, you know, closer to midday. At the moment it's 11 AM. Closer to midday we may get more power, but potentially and as you can see, the display's turned off there, so I have to press it again. Now I've looked through the settings, and there doesn't seem to be a way of keeping that display on longer than, you know, the 10 to 20 seconds that it currently stays on. Yeah, so a firmware upgrade to do that would be really useful. Now, also something that's interesting is that we got the display here that shows how much charge is currently in, but there's no number. It'd be nice to just have a number, but you know, you can see there's 3 bars currently lit, and then the remaining 2 are going, so that says it's roughly 60%, but it'd be nice to have an exact number. One other thing to note is the eco mode. This eco mode basically turns off the battery if you're not using it for 10, you know, if the power drain is under 10 watts from the AC sockets, it turns off the power after 4 hours, I believe. And that's just to save battery so that there's no drain over time and you inadvertently drain the EB70. So with 140 watts coming in, that would take about 5.2 hours to fully charge the EB70 from 0% to 100%. So just over 5 hours. You know, and that's a reasonable power, I believe, on a sunny day that you would probably achieve 5 hours of full sunlight. So I think it is quite possible in the UK to charge the EB70 via solar on a sunny day. On a cloudy day, when the power has dropped, you know, below 100 watts and you may only be at 30 to 50 watts, then it starts getting more difficult to fully charge the EB70 in one day, and becomes more difficult to maintain a certain power level when you're using high power components. So really you have to then drop the power of what you're running on it to sort of match the power that's coming in. And if it's only 30 watts, then you know, you may only just be able to run a cool box or something if you want to maintain charge at a fixed level. So we've come out to the wilds of Sutton Park in Sutton Coldfield now to test the EB70 in the wild. What can it do in a typical small camper van? Let's have a look. So one of my main requirements when camping is to be able to boil a kettle and make a cup of tea, typically British. So I've got a low power 1000 watt camping kettle here. I'm going to fill it up. Remember, we've got no hookup here, so we're literally filling up the kettle. So that's 1 litre of water there. So now we just get the base for that. Pop the kettle on and then plug it into the Bluetti EB70. So then we just simply activate the AC, hold down this button, green light comes on, LED, and now we can start the kettle. You can see the orange LED of the kettle's coming on. And now we're just over 1 kilowatt, 999. Now the EB70 can actually take a surge of up to 1.4 kilowatts for a short period of time. But as long as your average consumption is a kilowatt or less, 1000 watts, then it should be okay. I can hear again, the fans have slightly come on the EB70. This is driving a lot of power now. You know, one kilowatt. You know, so if it was fully charged at 716, this would run down in under an hour. But of course the kettle only takes a few minutes to boil, and already I can hear it. So again, we're only at 968 watts here, so this kettle is pretty much perfect for this power pack. So I really recommend it. It's a Quest kettle. Now, you know, because it's only a kilowatt and most kettles are 3 kilowatts, this will take a bit longer than average, well, about 3 times longer than average kettle to boil. I found it does a litre of water in about 6 to 7 minutes. Which when you're camping isn't too bad. I mean, it's a more relaxed way of life, and personally I don't mind waiting that long. And remember, this is being done in the middle of nowhere. I'm just in a park. We don't have a mains hookup. We're just using this little gizmo to boil a kettle of water for a cup of tea. You don't have to bring out a thermos flask. You don't have to just have a cold drink. You can have a hot drink. You can make soup, whatever. Really useful to have this functionality in a camper van or a tent. Still 969 watts. And then as that clicks off, we should see the power of the Bluetti drop. It's very close to boiling now. You can hear it bubbling away. Power down to 0. And we're still at 60%. So for that 5 minutes or 6 minutes that it was boiling the kettle, there's been no appreciable drop on the Bluetti storage capacity. But again, because the Bluetti doesn't show a percentage, an exact percentage, it's difficult to get an accurate reading. Next, I've got a typical fan heater with 3 settings. It's got just a standard cooling fan, then level 1, which delivers a reasonable amount of heat, and then level 2, which is max power, and I think that's around 2 kilowatts. So it's very unlikely that the max power is going to work on an 1000 watt power pack. But let's just see what happens. Again, into the AC output, and we can then just start this up. So this is a cooling fan, and actually it's quite a hot day today, so this is what you really want. Let's see what we're drawing here. There's only 11 watts of power coming out, and we've got a nice fan now. Now if we want some heat, let's switch it onto level 1. And already we're up to 960 watts. And now I've got piping hot air coming out of that. Now, as it's just under a kilowatt, and this has 716 watt hours of storage, this will, because if you were running at 716 watts, it would take 1 hour to drain the device completely. So imagine this was fully charged at 930 watts. This heater probably will only run for around 45 minutes. So I admit, in the winter, that might not be enough. And then you would have to be able to charge up the battery somehow with solar or otherwise to resume the heater. Even so, it's pretty impressive that you can be doing this. Now, if we now go up to the maximum power, the 2 kilowatts, we're probably going to get a tripping condition here. So let me just do this, switching on to 2, and instantly off, and actually we've got a little overload message at the bottom of the screen there. I can hear the fan come on again, oh, it's just stopped, but it did come on there. Maybe that's because of the overload condition. But, it's good to know that it's got that safety feature built in. It will trip if you take too much power. So overall, that's a pretty good demonstration, I think, of the EB70. Okay, so that concludes our in-depth review of the Bluetti Poweroak EB70 Power Pack. What do we like about it? Well, a hell of a lot really, from the wireless charging to the wide range of outputs. You've got those PD3 100 watt pair of outputs here, really useful. And of course 2 AC outlets. There's 716 watt hours of battery storage, which, it's not class leading, but for the size of the unit, around 32 centimeters by 20 by 20. The weight, just under 10 kilograms. It's a really useful size. I love the fact that it uses lithium iron phosphate cathode inside the battery. It gives many more cycles, around 4 times as many charge-recharge cycles as conventional lithium ion. And it's also a lot safer in terms of reduced risk of fire or flame. So I can highly recommend the EB70. It's really passed everything that I've thrown at it in terms of it will operate at 1000 watts with ease for long periods of time. The only downside I've found with it is the display. It's a lovely display, but there's a few things that I would improve. I don't like the fact that the battery indicator doesn't give a percentage. Like your mobile phone will say 67%. This just says 60, but the next one is 80. So it could be, 79, and you don't know what it is. It could be 20% different to what you're measuring. So I'd like a number value on there, please, Bluetti. And the other thing is the display just doesn't stay on long enough. It's really irritating that when you're trying to set up your solar panel to get the maximum power into the EB70 to charge it, you want that display on permanently. You don't want to have to keep groping and pressing buttons, turning the light on accidentally to try and get that display on. So I'd personally like to see the display on permanently when it's charging, or at least for a lot longer. If you could set the duration of that display like a Windows computer, then that would be even better. I'm guessing they don't want the display to get burning. If it's on permanently, you might damage the screen, because it is a lovely LED display. It's coloured, and I do really like that. We just need to be able to adjust that duration. Other than that, it's a fantastic power pack, and I really like it. Certainly going to be using it. I'm going to some festivals this year, and I think this will be perfect to run a cool box and my laptop. Moving on to the PV200 solar panel. Now this worked really well in sunlight. I got around 145, 150 watts, and it's not been the sunniest day that you can possibly have. I have no doubt that it can reach 200 watts in full bright sunlight, around midday. But in UK conditions, I don't think that is going to be possible. You may average 100 on a sunny day. And so, for a 716 watt battery, on a typical day, it might take 7 hours to charge from 0% up to 100%. And then, of course, if you're charging at 100 watts, that means you can take out 100 watts and the level of your battery should stay the same, because you're putting in exactly what you take. So I think that's the ideal to run at, around 100 watts drawing out, and then try and put in at the same time. And I did like the really long cables on the PV200. So you can put the panels where the light is and put your power pack where you need it. So that was very nice, Bluetti. One thing I'd say on the 200 is that it's 4 panels. It's around just under 8 kilograms in weight. It's fairly heavy. You've got these clips to open it up, a good handle. But it is a little tricky to get the legs down without one side collapsing. The legs are a little flimsy. They do work, and you can adjust the angle, and I like that. I just can't help thinking that it might be better to have 2 100 watt dual panels, and then you can just take one out. And as I said, getting 200 watts with this in the UK is tricky. So I'd probably be looking at a 100 watt panel for this particular model of power pack. That's just my personal view. I mean, the solar panel worked really well. I love the ruggedness. I like the way it's designed. I like the labeling. It's just a little unwieldy for my usage, and a little heavy, I think. It's just my opinion. But it's still a great solar panel. And the combination together with the EB70 does work really well. Anyway, I hope you liked that review. Please subscribe to Camping Secrets. We're trying to grow the channel. I hope this review has been useful for you. Please click, if you're interested in buying this, please click in our description. We've got links to these devices. I think we can offer a discount code to get some extra off for you. And thanks for watching. Bye.